Hey guys, this is Greg Denning, and you are in the School of Awesome Sauce, where I share with you amazing stories and strategies to help you live an extraordinary life. Hey, my friends, welcome to another episode. I was sitting there reading, and I've been reading from so many great books recently. It's so fun. I'm always reading 4 or 5 books at a time, and actually it's actually been proven to be a great strategy for learning if you're reading multiple things. You just kind of switch back and forth. But I've been reading so many great books, and I came across an idea, and I'm coming across constantly the lives of great men and women, and here's what we're going to talk about today, or men and women who have accomplished great things, but unfortunately made sacrifices that compromised themselves. But in this reading, I came across this idea many years ago, and I came across it again, and I want to share it with you because it's so powerful. We literally cannot accomplish anything. There can be no achievement, no progress, no great accomplishment without sacrifice. That's the principle. That's the lesson right there. There can be no accomplishment or achievement without sacrifice. And that's because we all have a few things that are limited. Like thought, for one. I mean, think about it. If your thoughts and your attention and your focus, you can't have unlimited focus. Even like, it just goes against the whole idea of focus. Focus means you narrow in on one thing, right? And priority, that's the root of that word. The whole definition of the word is a priority. It's like something goes above all the rest. And it's ironic that we live in this world of like, you should have 17 priorities, right? Like, well, that goes against the definition of priority. You can't have multiple priorities. A priority is your first thing, right? Now we can have a list of the most important things, and we can prioritize them, right? Where they kind of list them in order. But again, at the end of the day, my friends, you got the things that are most important and the things that are not. And we have limited time. Every one of us has been given this wonderful, wonderful gift of 24 hours a day. The sun comes up, and we get a chance to prove to ourselves and to others and to the world what is it that really matters to us. And we prove our priorities with our actions. We prove our beliefs with our actions. And we prove what we're going to accomplish by what we sacrifice. And so because there are a few of those things that are limited, like we've got to choose what's going to go. I remember one time a thinker, author, leader that I was reading compared, the 24 hours and our limits there to he compared it to a pig trough. And he's like, you got this trough, and it's limited. There's literally only so much space. You only have 24 hours. You can only do so much. You are one person. You can only be in one place at a time. And in your mind can only focus. Psychologists tell us that our mind can only focus on one thought at a time, which is why multitasking is often kind of a misconception. We think we can focus on several things at once or think about a few things at once, and we really can't. And so it's often distracted and ineffective. So we want to, now obviously some of you are like, hey, come on now, I can listen to an audiobook while I run or clean the house, and I do the same thing. So yeah, there's a few things like that, but we can't focus on multiple things at once and really be effective at it. The point is, my friends, we've got to make sacrifices. If we're going to achieve great things, then we have to make sacrifices. So I think there's 2 thoughts here that we all have to carefully consider. Like, what is it we really, really want to accomplish or achieve? When I sit down with you all around the world, and I ask those kind of questions, people settle back in their minds and really start to ask the hard questions, kind of like deathbed questions, like at the end of your life, when you're looking back at your life, what will really have mattered? And it's almost always the things that matter most when you have that clear perspective is relationships, right? What kind of relationships I've built with my family and close friends, and what kind of contribution have I made to the world? And I think perhaps the most important one is, who have I become? Who am I? Even above accomplishments or achievements or awards or rewards or certificates and positions and titles, above all of those things is, who are you? Who have you become? And if you believe in the life after this one, which I sure do, the only things we take with us is who we are. It's the things we've learned and the skills we've gained and who we've become in this beautiful journey of life. And so we've got to ask ourselves, okay, what is it that's most important to me? What do I want to spend my time and efforts and energy and focus? What am I going after? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to accomplish? And then in those things, there's always an exchange rate. I've been teaching this principle for years. I just love it. It's so powerful. It resonates so true in our hearts and our souls and our minds. Like, there's an exchange rate on everything. So does what you want, everything has a cost. Everything has an exchange rate. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you resources. It's going to cost you focus and attention and sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice something. Everything in your life is like that. And so you have to ask yourself, is it worth the exchange rate? Is it worth the cost to me, the sacrifice I have to make? And then here's where the biggest problem is. I want to just like scream and yell, and I wish if we were together, I'd be like, come on. I want to just sound this warning to everybody everywhere. There can be no accomplishment and no achievement without sacrifice. But the greatest problem I see again and again and again, and throughout history, I see this. Okay, not just today, but I literally see it throughout history as I'm reading autobiographies and biographies and learning about men and women and the things they've accomplished. I've noticed this thing again and again and again. And in my own files, here's how I've done it, right? In my own files, I have a very short list of the people who I see as both good and great. And here's how I define that. There are so many people who have accomplished great things. But very often, in seeking to accomplish great things, they have sacrificed the wrong things to accomplish it. Does that make sense? Kind of want to let that sink in there. If it's true that there can be no accomplishment and no achievement without sacrifice, then we have to make sure that it's worth the sacrifice and that we sacrifice the right things. And yes, my friends, I will be so bold to say there are wrong things to sacrifice. Let me give you some examples. So, and here's the case, right? Where you're going out to achieve something great, and maybe it is a great thing, and maybe it's a great cause, because we all know there's things we could pursue that are not worth it. But let's assume that it is a good thing and it's a good cause and it's worth making sacrifices for. But then we see men and women who sacrifice their values. They literally compromise their values. And these are good people. Like, these good people, you and me, like, they're not necessarily or inherently evil or malicious or terrible. But in order to achieve something, they end up sacrificing their own values, their own standards, to get some kind of accomplishment or achievement. May I plead with you, never, not for anything, never sacrifice your values. Remember this great line from A Man for All Seasons. It's Thomas More. When he was, King Henry VIII was just, oh my goodness, he would sacrifice every, who knows if the guy even had values or standards. He was sacrificing everything to get what he wanted. and murdering people, murdering his own wives. I mean, the guy was out of his mind. But anyways, there's a line in there where I think it's Cromwell. Don't hold me to that, please. I think it's Cromwell that does something. He basically sacrifices his values and his standards and his morals to get a position in Wales. And Thomas More says to him, he's quoting the scripture. It says, what does it profit you if you were to get the whole world but sell your own soul? Right? And Thomas More says to him, what does it profit you? He quotes that saying, what would it profit you if you gained the whole world but lost your soul? And then he says to him, but for Wales? For Wales? Implying you sacrificed your soul, you sold your soul for Wales? For a position, for an appointment? For a title? For a job? For a certain salary? For a certain status among society? Is this starting to sink in here, my friends? For Wales? And so we never sacrifice our values. What are some other things we should never sacrifice that I've seen again and again and again throughout history, and I see it today? People sacrifice their health. And you guys, what is life if you don't have your health? If you sacrifice your own body, which is your vehicle for life, in order to accomplish something, what good is it to have accomplished it if you have no health? You can't enjoy it. What can you enjoy? All the money in the world does you no good if you're not healthy enough to do it. Like all these great achievements, all these great wonders, and you're lying there miserable and dying, and you can't even get out and enjoy life because you're so unhealthy. Don't sacrifice your health. I see people sacrifice their families. Again, we come back to that question. Okay, so you achieve this great thing. You get this status. You do this special accomplishment, whatever it is to you, but you sacrificed your family to get it? And with whom will you celebrate? The crowds of people who, after they're done celebrating, go back to their families, and to whom do you return? You with me? Like that's something that you never sacrifice. You don't sacrifice your family. Your spirituality, your own spiritual journey. If you lose that and you lose this deep meaning and purpose and this grounding, this inner compass, this connection to God, to the Spirit, if you sacrifice that, you're left floundering and lost. You get what I'm saying here? So, we can't... Again, I come back to the main principle. Every accomplishment, every achievement will require some kind of sacrifice. James Allen said, he who would attain highly must sacrifice greatly. Right? And so it's measured by the level of your attainment is in alignment with the level of sacrifice. The more sacrifice you put in, the more reward you can get out. But again, my warning here to all of us is make sure you do not sacrifice the wrong things. And so then what is it we do sacrifice? What is it we can give up? What is it we can't sacrifice in order to attain? Because we want to achieve, right? We all come born with it, and this is why I always say reach upward. You've heard me say this many times. I always say reach upward, reach upward. It comes from this poem by Harry Kemp. He says, chief of all thy wondrous works, O God, supreme of all thy plan, thou hast placed an upward reach into the heart of man. We all have this longing desire to reach upward, to reach and grow and improve and achieve and accomplish. We want it. It's in your heart. I know that you want that. In fact, the fact that you're listening to this, you have this drive, this desire, this passion. You want to achieve and do. So what is it then, if we're going to achieve and accomplish things, what is it then we do sacrifice? What can we give up? What can go? In fact, we're going to say what has to go, right? There's a few things that have got to go, my friends. They've got to go. Number one is our insatiable desire for entertainment. If you're going to sacrifice something, sacrifice that. Now, man, I love to have fun, and we should have fun, and life should be an absolute blast. And I'm of the opinion that, we can turn our work, even good, hard, tough, uncomfortable work, can be fun and can even be entertaining. Learning to me is one of the most entertaining things, even when I'm trying to learn difficult things. I love entertainment through learning. I love the learning. But just endlessly watching TV and junk and these things that aren't helping us, and anything that's, I call it, it's frothy or frivolous, right? And I love those words. Like frothy and frivolous. It's just the froth is the foamy stuff on top. It has no substance. Like it's the bubbles. There's really nothing there. There's no substance. It looks like substance, but it's not. And that's froth. Anything is frivolous. It's superficial. It's shallow. It's really meaningless. There's not a whole lot there. It's like food that has no nutritional value, right? And there's books like that, and there's music like that, and there's conversations like that. Unfortunately, there's like social interaction like that, and there's movies like that. Of course, I mean, all this stuff, all this entertainment if it's frothy and frivolous, for me, I want it to have no part in my life at all. Absolutely no way. And you're like, well, what about just for enjoying entertainment? Can't you just ever relax once in a while and just be entertained and not be driven all the time? And for me, I'm like, there are so many, like countless great books that are also so entertaining, and great movies and music that is so entertaining, but also has life lessons and value and goodness, and they're edifying. That there's just no reason to watch trash or listen to trash or read trash, because there are so many great books and great media. There's so much great media out there. There's no need. And so sacrifice the frivolous. Sacrifice the froth. And sacrifice this constant need for entertainment. And let's work on ourselves. So many good people don't get the results they want because they're spending their life seeking entertainment. And they're not willing to sacrifice that. Cool. What else can we sacrifice? We can sacrifice our selfishness. We can sacrifice our laziness. This is with all the love I got, friends. I'm going to say it. A lot of you are seriously lazy. And you're like, not me. I'm not lazy. Let's take a real honest look at ourselves, myself included here. Take a real honest look at ourselves and how often are we lazy? We get somebody's called the druthers. I'd rather be doing something else, right? You get the druthers where you could step it up, you could use your time better, your energy better, your focus better, you could go to the next level, and you're like, I don't feel like it. And it's this I don't feel like it that gets us, we slip into mediocrity. And so we can sacrifice that. And we can sacrifice a little sleep, right? Not too much, because we all need to sleep well at night and get enough sleep. But like Edison says, Thomas Edison said that sleep is like a drug, and you get too much of it, and you start getting groggy. And a lot of us oversleep, ironically, or sleep poorly. We can sacrifice screen time. Average American spending several hours a day just on a screen, and not always for good purposes. So if you just find yourself scrolling endlessly or watching silly videos or just doing nothing or blank stare at the wall and not really thinking, sacrifice that. Sacrifice is wasted time and downtime and procrastination. You want to sacrifice something? Sacrifice procrastination. Take action, get results. Do things. And if you don't feel like it, take action. If you're waiting around for the motivation to come, just get disciplined. Discipline will get things done, friends. Like, turn it on. Like, sometimes you just feel super motivated to do it. Sometimes you just have to make yourself do it. Sacrifice your doubts. Sacrifice your fears. Sacrifice your insecurities. And boldly move in the direction of your dreams. I've yet to meet someone that is just so on top of it that they couldn't make tweaks or improvements and shift those sacrifices. And so here's my invitation challenge with just tons of love here. I want you guys to live absolutely extraordinary lives. This is what I do day in and day out. Like we have these classes going right now for parents and classes for youth. I've got a bunch more coming up in the fall. And I'm just doing them year round, so there's always a new session starting. And literally this is what we do. We go through and we identify the great goals, and then we set out the plans and like the steps and strategies, the tips and techniques, like things that actually work to get real results and help us achieve and accomplish, sacrifice the right things, get our lives just totally aligned where we are feeling alive. Not just existing, not just drifting, but alive and achieving and accomplishing. We feel fantastic. And we're celebrating instead of beating ourselves up for wasting away our lives. Oh, I love this stuff. I love this stuff. Jump in those classes, you guys. This is where like coaching and mentoring makes all the difference in the world. Get in those things. That's another thing we can sacrifice. We can sacrifice money and resources to improve our lives. We sacrifice, the frivolous spending we do. We spend so much money on junk. And if we took just that, I've often said this, if we took just the money that we waste and put it into the best books or into paying for mentoring or coaching, totally transform our lives. Totally transform our lives. Like if you take somebody who's smoking, for example, just do the exact same amount of money you spent last year on tobacco, and you spend it on phenomenal books. We'll just go real simple. Tobacco for books. What difference would that make in your life? Total transformation. And it's true for all of us. The amount of money you spend on junk food and fast food and caffeine and candy, garbage and movies and music that's not lifting you up, not raising you up, not changing your life. You look at the lives of great men and women, they're not wasting their time on that. They're not wasting their money on that junk. They're putting it to the right place, so that's where we can make sacrifices. And I want you to live an extraordinary life. This is what I live for. So here's my challenge, my invitation for all of us, myself included. Look at what you're sacrificing. Look at what you want to accomplish, because we come back to the rule. If you want to accomplish something or achieve something, there is sacrifice required. It has to be. So then look at what you're doing and say, do I want to achieve that? Is it worth it? If it's yes, then get really clear about what you're going to sacrifice and what you are not going to sacrifice. Some of you will realize in this exercise that you've been sacrificing the wrong things, and it's got to stop. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth the sacrifice. Remember, whales? It's not worth whales. It's not worth all the world if you sell your soul. And Rachel and I, my wife Rachel and I, we've always lived by that. Like, you know what? If we end up not being able to achieve something because we're dedicated to our family, so be it. Family first. Our relationship first, our family first, God first. And if we don't get to those things, okay. All right. It might be frustrating, might be disappointing, but we live by our priorities. And so look at what you're sacrificing. Look at some changes you need to make, some sacrifices you need to make, and then look at the things that are in your life that you know you need to start sacrificing, or where there's some space like, you know what? I've been spending money on this every month. And instead of buying new clothes every month or getting a new hairdo every month or other things that aren't really making it, I'll take that same amount of money and put it into coaching or mentoring and watch it transform your life. Whoa. So be willing to sacrifice for the things that are worth achieving, but always make sure, my friends, that we are sacrificing the right things in the right way. There's a great book by a man who he made huge sacrifices. Initially for his family, and he kept telling himself, "This is for my family. This is for my family." And he worked 90 hours a week, and he ended up making hundreds of millions of dollars, just loads and loads of money. Had tons of businesses, still well known. Ended up even owning a professional sports team, and just was super, super, super wealthy. But he ended up dying early as a double amputee with diabetes because he neglected his health and he neglected his family. And this is in his own book. He dictated a book on his deathbed, and essentially he was saying, "Hey, look, here's my story, but don't do what I did. I neglected my health, and now I'm dying. I neglected my family, and those relationships are still broken as I lay here dying. And I neglected my relationship with God, my spirituality, and I'm about to go meet Him, and I'm not ready. Don't do those things." Right? So let's all of us sacrifice the right things, go after it, achieve greatness, live extraordinary lives so we can be on our own list of people who are good and great, who accomplish great things but never sacrifice their goodness and who they are and how they want to live life. You guys are awesome. Love you. Reach upward. Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening to this episode. I hope you got a lot of value out of it and found some things that you can apply to your life right away. Hey, I'm being totally sincere when I say I live to help you live your extraordinary life. So I hope you'll reach out to me if you have any questions, or let me know how I can help you in any important area of your life. And in fact, this podcast is brought to you by the School of Awesome Sauce monthly coaching program. Take advantage of that. Get in there. It's the best way to get a breakthrough to the next level so you can level up your health, your spirituality, your emotions, your mind, your relationships, your finances, business, every part of your life. Just get in there where you have a coach and a mentor. You have a supportive community to make things happen. So jump in there, take advantage of this, try it out, get in there with us, and level up your life. See you on the inside. Reach upward.